Okay, my presentation is answering the question, what is professional writing, and not just in regards to the answer, but in regards to our class and what new students coming in expected to be and what we're answering leaving the class. I found the interview was really the best tool to find this answer because the question is so broad. There's no real one-liner term I could come up for it. I really found the answer to be communication, and it's not just communication with one-on-one, but communication in general. The interview allowed me a one-on-one with a real professional writer in the field, which is something you can't get in a classroom, and it really helped answer the question. It not only did something on its own, but it emphasized all our course readings and in-class lectures that we did. It was kind of like a finale to everything we've been learning in class. And it also opened my eyes to education outside of textbooks. We're in this room twice a week, and it's hard to get a feel for what the actual job's going to be like. And until we did this interview, I didn't really feel like I had a good idea of what the actual job would be like. We had textbooks, we had answers, we had theories, and until the interview, it was really difficult to put all of those into a certain perspective. What is professional writing? Professional writing is people. This was the person I interviewed. It's my sister also. Her name's Kelsey, and she worked at Words and Numbers in Maryland, which is a textbook editing company. She graduated from a university just like all we are going to do. I wanted to emphasize that professional writers were students just like we are, and when you meet them one-on-one in the field, you get a really down-to-earth sense of that. They're just like us. They learned at one point in time, and they developed their skills and ways of practice from university. She's also making plans to be a working mother, so that's something that if we all want a family one day, it's something to incorporate into our job market. What is professional writing? It's something that you have to incorporate into your family life as well. One of the things she said to me that really stood out to answer the question of what is professional writing, she said that she had to manage a team of writers and editors, some of whom were in-house and some were freelancers. I had to give them direct feedback and keep them up to date with any changes and guidelines. I also had to deal with the client and keep them happy. Most of my time was spent dealing with people. The editing was maybe 30% of my time as project manager. This is something that really stood out to me because when we're in class, we're doing work, we're doing projects, we're making posts on the forums, we're doing all kinds of writing. And when Kelsey told me this, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to learn another 70% of communication skills, people skills, managing skills, a lot of stuff that we can't get out of the textbook that they talk about. So that was really shocking to me that she did all of this people and work with communication all professionally. So to me, professional writing sounds just as much as professional communication as it is doing the actual writing the words. Communication takes place over a variety of audiences, and in order to be able to be an effective professional writer, you have to be aware that all of these are going to be your audience. She said she worked with clients, she worked with coworkers. Here we are in 306 working with our teachers, students, our parents, you have to work with bosses. You have to keep all that in mind when you communicate in professional writing, and that's part of the answer, is that all of them work together to create a document. I also took some work from classmates up front here, if that's okay. But I found that almost every report had this statement in it somewhere, that they wanted the interview to seem like a conversation. And to me that seemed really important because even though you're being a professional, you still want to make whoever you're communicating to feel comfortable, relaxed. That's part of rhetoric. You have to have your words, evoke a certain feeling in the person. And doing this interview, I think everyone tried to do this, and I found that very, very interesting, that you can make something professional also something casual. I think that's a very important part of communication and professional writing. And one of the course readings that I really, really liked was, this was in People's, and it was in one of the essays in communication, and it was a reference to another document they brought in, so it was like a reference to a reference. He said that you're defining communication as participatory communication and the role of communicators as one of working together to create common interests, to construct the ideals of our society, and to examine the ends of our action. Professionals who communicate should be involved in this endeavor too. It is at least part of the function of professional communicators, whether they know it or not. And I love this quote, because not only does it give you a rubric for what communicators should be doing, create common interests, construct the ideals of our society, examine the ends of our actions, it's letting us know that that's our goal, whether we're aware of it all the time or not. And now, I like this because now we can at least be aware of what our words do. And I think that's something this class really, really taught me, is to be aware of what your writing can do. When I first came to this class, I hadn't taken anything like this before. I had taken, Greek and Latin lit, creative writing, Shakespeare, classic lit, and it was very hard for me to not analyze literature, but to, create it in a way that someone else has to interpret it. That was a really, really big struggle. And, for these classes, it wasn't about communication between an audience. It was about reading it, analyzing it, and then writing an essay on it. This class is much, much different in that we have to be able to be aware of who the audience is and write it for them. And so that was a big struggle and something that I had to, get out of my head before doing most of the work in here. What to expect for, current students in the job force. I think be open-minded is something that we all should do in general, to keep, for our writing to be effective, be aware of what all's out there. I think the big thing is labor force needs professional communicators. It's not like you're writing for pleasure, although hopefully they go hand in hand, but we're providing a service professionally. And prepare to spend more time working with people than with paper. It is about communication. People are the key to our job. For prospective students, they need to leave any preconceived notions about writing behind. Come in here with an open mind and be willing to change any kind of ideas you had about writing and start kind of from scratch. And another big thing was realize that anything can be a tool to communicate, not just writing, but the mapping project really was a struggle for me because I hadn't considered an image to be a form of communication. And I thought that really was a great lesson in rhetoric to do that. So, that's it.